Episode 1, A Long Journey begins. 6 months beyond Bastion 9. Captain's log, Commander Amelia Carter. 6 months. It feels strange to say those words aloud. 6 months since the UGS Horizon left Bastion 9 and turned once again toward the unknown. 6 months since we accepted an invitation left behind by a civilization that vanished 40,000 years before any member of this crew was born. When we departed, there were no ceremonies, no speeches, no crowds gathered in observation domes. The frontier had never been interested in celebrations. It had survived for centuries by looking forward, never backward. The docking clamps released. The station slowly disappeared behind us, and once again we were alone among the stars. Only this time it felt different. Our first journey had begun with uncertainty. No one knew whether the horizon would survive, whether we would find the archives, whether the stories about the Guardians were anything more than fragments of forgotten myths. We returned carrying answers that changed the course of the war. Now we sail carrying something far less tangible. Questions. The war continues. No one aboard the Horizon has forgotten that. Every 7 days, our long-range communication array receives an encrypted transmission relay from Bastion 9. Sometimes the reports are encouraging. Sometimes they are not. The casualty lists continue to grow. Entire fleets are still committed along sectors that most citizens of the Galactic Union will never see. Ships continue to disappear. Outposts continue to fall. Soldiers continue to stand watch beneath unfamiliar stars. War rarely ends in a single victory. It changes direction one decision at a time. For nearly 3 centuries, every strategic map of the frontier told the same story. A slow retreat. Sector after sector abandoned. Colonies evacuated. Listening stations destroyed. Supply routes shortened. Every year, the line moved a little closer to the heart of known space. It had become so familiar that many officers believed retreat was simply another law of nature. Like gravity, like entropy, like time, then came what history has already begun calling the first victory. I have never liked the name. Not because it is inaccurate, because it sounds complete. There was nothing complete about it. No great battle ended the war. No enemy surrendered. No triumphant fleet crossed the frontier under banners of celebration. Instead, something much quieter happened. For the first time, our ships began surviving encounters they would once have lost. Weapons found their targets. Convoys reached destinations that had been considered impossible only months before. Reconnaissance groups returned with information instead of silence. The line stopped moving backward. Then, almost hesitantly, it began moving forward. According to the latest reports, several abandoned systems have already been reclaimed. Some colonies evacuated decades ago have reopened. Engineers now repair orbital infrastructure that many believed would remain empty forever. Agricultural domes are producing food again. Navigation beacons once swallowed by darkness are transmitting once more. Children are growing up beneath skies their parents never expected to see again. Those are not victories measured in territory. They are measured in ordinary lives. The frontier spent centuries teaching how to endure. Perhaps now it is beginning to teach us how to rebuild. Life aboard the Horizon exists in a curious balance between those distant reports and the silence surrounding us. Every message from Bastion 9 reminds us why we are here. Every day without a message reminds us how vast this galaxy truly is. Some members of the crew still have family serving at the frontier. Others have friends aboard defensive stations. Marcus still asks about engineers he worked beside for decades. He never asks directly. Instead, he pretends to be interested in maintenance statistics. Still using those awful reactor regulators, he'll ask. Or, Has anyone finally convinced Fleet Command to replace Platform 17's coolant pumps? The answer is never really about coolant pumps. We all understand that. Professor Kale reads every strategic report with almost academic detachment. Then quietly, he files each one into the ship's historical archive. Future historians, he told me once, will need accurate records. I asked him whether he truly believed historians would one day study these reports instead of living through the war themselves. He looked at me for several seconds before answering. I sincerely hope they find them terribly boring. I think that may have been the closest Professor Kale has ever come to making a joke. Marcus later claimed it was the funniest thing the professor had said in 2 centuries. Kale insisted the statement had been entirely serious. No one believed him. Not even Lyra. And when Dr. Lyra Sen almost smiles, you know something unusual has happened. The Horizon receives no military orders. That still surprises some officers back at Bastion 9. Every few weeks someone politely asks whether we have discovered another Guardian weapon. Another defensive technology. Another advantage that might shorten the war. Our answers are usually disappointing. We have found broken observatories, collapsed research stations, ruined cities, fragments of inscriptions, weathered maps, empty halls, silent libraries. Questions. Always questions. At first, I wondered whether Fleet Command might eventually recall us. There are times when an explorer feels almost guilty for exploring while others continue fighting. Fleet Marshal Jonathan Hayes settled that concern before we departed. His final message remains stored in my personal log. He said only one sentence. If everyone searches for weapons, eventually no one will search for wisdom. I have thought about those words often during these past 6 months. Perhaps more often than he intended. The Horizon no longer carries the burden of saving the galaxy. That responsibility belongs to millions of people scattered across thousands of worlds. Engineers, scientists, doctors, pilots, farmers, teachers, shipyard workers, soldiers. Entire civilizations now share that responsibility. Our task is different. Some might even call it simpler. We follow a trail, one abandoned world at a time, one forgotten archive after another, one unanswered question leading quietly toward the next. It is slow work, sometimes frustratingly slow. But history has taught us that the greatest discoveries rarely announce themselves. They wait patiently for someone curious enough to keep looking. And so do we. Life aboard the Horizon. Captain's Log, Commander Amelia Carter. Mission Day 183, Beyond the Outer Frontier. When people imagine exploration vessels, they usually imagine moments of discovery. A new world appearing on the sensors. An unknown signal emerging from the darkness. The first view of an alien civilization. Those moments do happen. Eventually. But most of exploration is not made of discoveries. It is made of preparation, of analysis, of waiting, of thousands of small decisions made correctly so that, when the impossible finally appears, someone is ready to understand it. The Horizon spends most of its time not facing the unknown, but preparing for it. The ship has changed since our first mission. Not physically. The hull remains the same structure that left Bastion 9 6 months ago. The same engines. The same laboratories. The same exploration systems. But the atmosphere aboard the ship is different. During our first expedition, everyone was aware that we were walking into uncertainty. We were a collection of specialists from different civilizations. Representatives, diplomats, scientists, soldiers assigned to protect an expedition that was never supposed to become a military operation. We were individuals working together because circumstances required it. Now we are simply a crew. The difference may seem small. It is not. Every morning begins with the same routine. The bridge comes alive slowly. Navigation systems update. Scientific stations receive their reports. Engineering confirms reactor efficiency. Communications checks the latest transmissions from the Union. There is nothing dramatic about it. No alarms. No emergency protocols. No desperate decisions. Just a group of people beginning another day hundreds of light years away from everything familiar. That, I have learned, is what makes a ship a home. Not the rooms. Not the corridors. Not the technology. The people. Commander Amelia Carter paused. Personal note: I have noticed something interesting about command. When I first took responsibility for the Horizon, I believed leadership meant having answers. I was wrong. Leadership often means knowing which questions to ask, especially when everyone around you knows something you do not. A human engineer may understand a system differently from an Illyrian scientist. A Valerie researcher may observe patterns that others completely miss. A Narethi technician may solve a mechanical problem using principles that seem completely irrational until the moment they work perfectly. The Horizon functions because no one here sees the universe in exactly the same way. And that is precisely why we need everyone aboard. The engineering section remains the most active area of the ship. This is largely because of Marcus Donnelly. Marcus has a unique relationship with machines. Some engineers communicate through technical manuals. Marcus communicates through complaints. If a reactor component is functioning perfectly, he will explain why its design is terrible. If a system fails after 30 years of reliable operation, he will explain why he warned everyone about it decades earlier. Usually, nobody remembers him warning anyone. Marcus does. Always. The interesting thing about Marcus is that his reputation as a difficult engineer is only partially deserved. He is difficult. That part is accurate. But he is also one of the most patient people I have ever met. Not with people. With people, patience is apparently limited. With machines, however, he can spend hours repairing a damaged component while explaining every problem to it as if the component had personally offended him. I once asked why he talked to equipment. He answered, because unlike most officers, machines usually listen. I reminded him that machines did not actually understand him. He looked at me and said, that explains why they work better. I have learned not to argue with Marcus when he believes he has made a logical point. The relationship between Marcus and Professor Cale Varys remains one of the most unexpected developments of this mission. During our first journey, their disagreements were almost predictable. Marcus believed Cale overcomplicated simple problems. Cale believed Marcus oversimplified complex ones. Both were occasionally correct. Both were usually convinced they were completely correct. The situation improved when they discovered that they shared something important. Curiosity. They approach knowledge from completely different directions. Marcus sees technology as something built, tested, repaired, and improved. Cale sees knowledge as something preserved, studied, and understood within a larger historical context. They still disagree. Frequently. Sometimes loudly. But the arguments have changed. Before, they were defending their own perspectives. Now they are trying to understand the others. That is a significant difference. Professor Cale spends much of his time in the archive section. The Horizon's database contains everything recovered from the Guardian sites we have investigated. Most of the information remains incomplete. Fragments of language, damaged recordings, images without context, coordinates leading nowhere. Cale considers this fascinating. Most people would consider it a frustrating collection of broken pieces. Cale insists there is a difference. An incomplete answer, he once explained, is still an answer. It tells us where we have not looked carefully enough. Marcus responded, "That sounds like something someone says when they have a room full of broken things and refuse to throw anything away." Cale replied, "It is called archaeology." Marcus answered, "It is called having too many boxes." The discussion lasted 20 minutes. Neither side surrendered. Both sides believed they had won. Dr. Lyra Sen remains the quietest member of the senior staff. That does not mean she is distant. It means she observes before she speaks. The Valerie perspective on science is different from ours. Human researchers often search for patterns by testing possibilities. Lyra searches for patterns by noticing what does not fit. She can look at a gravitational reading that appears normal to everyone else and immediately notice a small inconsistency. A variation. A missing piece. Something that should not be there. During our previous expedition, that ability helped us understand the Guardian equations. Now it guides our exploration. Every anomaly matters. Every deviation could be a clue, or it could simply be nature reminding us that we still understand very little. Lyra is comfortable with both possibilities. I think that is one of the reasons she is such a valuable scientist. She does not need the universe to make sense immediately. She only needs it to be honest. Lyra has perhaps the most unusual role aboard the Horizon. She is not simply studying the Guardians. She is helping us understand how they thought. The difference matters. A language can be translated. A culture must be understood. The Guardians left behind technology that appears impossibly advanced. But technology alone does not explain a civilization. Their choices do. Their priorities, their fears, their mistakes, their hopes. Lyra often reminds the team that we must be careful not to transform the Guardians into legends. They were not myths. They were people, a civilization, with disagreements, with limitations, with uncertainty, just like us. The rest of the crew follows the same principle. The Horizon is not a collection of officers from different worlds anymore. It is a small reflection of the Galactic Union itself. Human, Illyrian, Valerie, Narethi, Arcturan, Zarin, and many others. Different languages, different customs, different concepts of normal. A human celebration may seem strangely quiet to another species. A Narethi maintenance ritual may appear unnecessary to humans. An Illyrian academic discussion may feel endless to almost everyone aboard. But slowly, over time, these differences became familiar. Not invisible, never invisible, familiar, and perhaps that is the first step toward understanding another civilization. Not pretending we are the same, accepting that we are not. 6 months ago, the Horizon left Bastion 9 searching for answers. We expected those answers to be hidden in ancient archives, in forgotten worlds, in the remains of a civilization lost to time. We did not expect to find some of them here, among ourselves, because exploration is not only about discovering what exists beyond our maps. Sometimes it is about discovering who we become while following them. Following the Guardian Trail. Captain's Log, Commander Amelia Carter. Mission Day 183, Guardian Exploration Route. When we left Bastion 9, we knew the path ahead of us was incomplete. The Guardians did not leave a map. Not in the way modern civilizations understand maps. There were no simple coordinates leading directly from one location to another. No message saying, "Travel here." The answer is waiting. Instead, they left fragments, observations, references, patterns, a trail designed not for those who wanted answers quickly, but for those willing to understand. The first weeks of the mission were spent confirming something we already suspected. The Guardians did not simply travel through space. They observed. Their presence was scattered across a region of space larger than some civilizations. Ancient observation stations, abandoned research facilities, colonies that had been empty for thousands of years, places that at first glance appeared unrelated. But slowly, patterns began to emerge. Not technological patterns, historical ones. The first Guardian site we reached was not a city. It was an observatory. At least that is what we believe it was. The structure orbited a small, lifeless world with no atmosphere and no significant geological activity. From a distance, it appeared damaged beyond repair. A forgotten piece of machinery slowly drifting around a forgotten planet. Another abandoned ruin. Another silent witness to a civilization that disappeared before our oldest recorded histories began. But once aboard the station, we discovered something unusual. The damage was not caused by battle. There were no signs of weapons, no emergency evacuation, no evidence of destruction. The station had simply been left behind. Carefully, almost intentionally. That detail bothered Professor Kale, not because it contradicted our understanding of the Guardians, because it confirmed something. They were not simply running from something. They were making decisions. There is a difference. A civilization escaping destruction leaves behind chaos. A civilization choosing to leaves behind something else. A message, a reason, a record. The challenge was understanding which one we were looking at. Kale spent 3 days analyzing the station's internal structure. Marcus spent 3 days trying to access systems Kale repeatedly insisted should not be activated before proper documentation. Naturally, both claimed to be following the correct scientific procedure. Naturally, they disagreed about what that procedure was. At one point, I entered the archive chamber and found them standing in front of an inactive Guardian interface. Kale was explaining why historical preservation required patience. Marcus was explaining why understanding a machine required making it do something. Neither noticed me for almost 5 minutes. Finally, I asked, should I return later? They both turned immediately. No, yes. They answered at the same time. I decided that was enough information to leave. The most important discovery from that first site was not a device. It was a sequence, a series of references embedded in the station's records. Not coordinates exactly, more like a chain of historical markers. Each location referred to another. Each archive pointed toward another observation point. The Guardians had created a trail. Not obvious enough for anyone to follow blindly. Not hidden enough to be impossible to find. A trail designed to be discovered by someone who understood what they were looking at. Over the following months, we continued. One world after another. One forgotten location after another. Most discoveries were small. A damaged archive containing only fragments. A structure whose original purpose remained unknown. A communication array still transmitting signals into empty space. A settlement where every building remained intact, but every inhabitant had vanished thousands of years earlier. The kind of discoveries that create more questions than answers. Which, according to Kale, is the proper function of archaeology. Marcus disagrees. According to him, archaeology is simply engineering with older machines. Kale strongly objects to that definition. I have not yet decided whether either of them is correct. The abandoned cities were perhaps the most difficult discoveries. Not because they were dangerous, because they were quiet. There is something unsettling about walking through a place built for millions of people and finding only silence. The Guardians created cities that were clearly designed for living. Public spaces, research areas, transportation systems, places of learning, places of gathering. The architecture showed evidence of a civilization that valued knowledge. But nowhere did we find the people who created it. No final message. No explanation. Only absence. During one expedition, Celira spent hours examining a collection of preserved records. Not technological records. Personal ones. Letters. Educational materials. Cultural archives. Small pieces of ordinary life. I asked her what she had learned. She answered they were not only scientists. I asked what she meant. She looked at the records for a moment before replying. Sometimes when we study an ancient civilization, we focus on what made them extraordinary. Their technology, their discoveries, their achievements. She paused. But civilizations are not defined only by what they build. She looked back at the archive. They are also defined by what they loved. That observation remained with me, because it is easy to forget that the Guardians were not an ancient mystery. They were people. The further we traveled, the more obvious one fact became. The Guardians were studying something. The question was not whether they had encountered the Devourers. They had. The evidence was everywhere. Observation stations positioned along strategic routes. Records analyzing their movements. Attempts to understand their behavior. But the Guardians were not searching for a weapon. That was perhaps the most important realization. They were searching for knowledge. They were trying to understand something that had threatened civilizations for thousands of years. The humanity spent centuries fighting the Devourers. Our natural instinct was always the same. Find a weakness, develop a defense, create a stronger response. The Guardians approached the problem differently. They asked another question. Why? Why do the Devourers behave this way? What are they? What determines their actions? What rules govern their existence? Understanding before responding. Observation before action. It was a very Guardian approach, and perhaps the reason their trail survived for so long. After 6 months, we still have no definitive answers. We do not know where the Guardians went. We do not know why they disappeared. We do not know whether they succeeded in whatever final objective they pursued. But we know something important. They expected someone to follow. They left evidence intentionally. They preserved information for a future they would never see. A future that somehow they believed would exist. A future like ours. Sometimes during quiet moments on the bridge, I look at the navigation display. The route ahead is almost empty. A series of locations separated by distances that would take generations for older civilizations to cross. And yet someone traveled this path before us. Someone looked at these same stars. Someone asked the same questions. Thousands of years ago, the Guardians began a journey. 6 months ago, the Horizon chose to continue it. And for now, that is enough. A shadow among the stars. Captain's log, Commander Amelia Carter. Mission Day 147, Guardian Exploration Route. Exploration creates a strange illusion. When we leave the familiar regions of the Galactic Union behind, it becomes easy to believe that we have left the war behind as well. The stars become quieter. The transmissions become fewer. The distances become larger. For days, sometimes weeks, nothing reminds us that millions of people are still fighting along the frontier. Then the sensors detect something, and the illusion disappears. The war was never behind us. It was only farther away. The encounter happened during our 4th month beyond Bastion 9. At the time, we were investigating a Guardian observation platform located near the edge of a previously unexplored region. The station itself was unusual. Unlike the others, it was not abandoned. Not completely. Several systems remained operational. Low power, minimal function, but active. The Guardians had left behind a machine still watching the universe after thousands of years. A silent observer waiting in the darkness. We spent several days analyzing the platform. Lyra was studying the astronomical records. Kale and Selira were examining the historical archives. Marcus was attempting to understand the station's power systems. According to Marcus, he was not modifying anything. According to everyone else, that statement required clarification. The alert came at 3:17 ship time. No alarm. No emergency signal. Just a quiet notification from the sensor array. A contact. Multiple contacts. Unknown classification. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. The bridge changed instantly. Not because anyone panicked. Because everyone understood. The universe had become smaller. Lyra was the first to confirm the information. Multiple vessels, she said. Her voice remained calm. It always did. Trajectory suggests coordinated movement. I looked at the sensor display. The distance was still significant, but the identification was already becoming clear. Not because we had visual confirmation. Because of the way they moved. The precision. The formation. The absence of unnecessary communication. The Devourers did not travel like most civilizations. They did not explore. They did not establish territory. They did not announce presence. They searched. For 3 centuries, the humanity had studied them. Or at least attempted to. We had learned some things. Their behavior, their patterns, their attraction toward advanced cognitive structures, their strange method of perception. But every answer created another question. The Devourers remained the greatest unknown civilization in known space. Perhaps because calling them a civilization was itself an assumption. The bridge became silent. Not empty. Focused. Every member of the crew knew their role. The Horizon was not a warship. We had no reason to engage. No chance of winning a confrontation. Our mission was not to defeat the Devourers. It was to avoid becoming a part of their search. I gave the order. Activate Guardian concealment. For a moment, nothing happened. That moment felt longer than it was. The technology we carried was not a weapon. It was not a shield. It was not something that forced the universe to obey. It was a deception. A way of making ourselves less noticeable. A way of changing how we were perceived. A technique developed by a civilization that had spent thousands of years studying an enemy it could not defeat directly. The Guardians had not hidden from the Devourers through strength. They had hidden through understanding. Marcus monitored the engineering systems. His usual confidence was still there. But quieter. Power consumption stable, he reported. A pause. Which is good. Another pause. Because if it wasn't stable, I would have to explain why. I looked at him. He continued working. I prefer explanations after success. Even in moments of tension, Marcus remained Marcus. Perhaps that was why the crew trusted him. The Devourer vessels approached. Closer. Closer. Their path crossed ours. No one moved. No one spoke unless necessary. The Horizon reduced every unnecessary emission. Engines minimized. Systems adjusted. Communications silent. For several minutes, we existed in a strange state. A ship full of living beings, trying not to be noticed by something searching for signs of life. Lyra watched the sensor readings. They are adjusting course. The bridge became even quieter. Toward us. A few seconds passed. No, another pause. Near us. That distinction mattered. Very much. The Devourer patrol moved past our position. Not because we were stronger. Not because we had defeated them, because for a brief moment we were invisible. Or close enough. The technology worked. But nobody celebrated. Not then. Because everyone understood what had happened. The camouflage had not changed the nature of the Devourers. It had not solved the war. It had not made us safe. It had only given us another option. And sometimes, another option is the difference between survival and extinction. After the vessels disappeared beyond sensor range, normal operations slowly resumed. Nobody spoke about victory. There was none. Nobody spoke about defeating an enemy. We had done nothing of the kind. We had simply continued our mission. That was enough. Later that day, I visited the observation deck. The stars looked exactly the same as they had hours before. That has always fascinated me. The universe rarely announces its most dangerous moments. A star does not become brighter because a ship is in danger. A planet does not change because someone is making a difficult decision above it. The galaxy continues. Quietly, indifferently, waiting for those living inside it to understand what is happening. The encounter changed something aboard the Horizon. Not because we were afraid. The crew already understood the risks. It changed because it reminded us of something important. The Guardians left a path for us to follow. But they also left a warning. Knowledge alone does not remove danger. Understanding does not guarantee safety. It only gives us better choices. The next morning, the Horizon continued along the Guardian route. The Devourers were behind us. The unknown was ahead. And somewhere between the two we continued searching. The crew of the Horizon. Captain's log, Commander Amelia Carter. Mission Day 183, Guardian Exploration Route. People often ask what makes a starship successful. Some answer with technology. Others answer with design. Some point to propulsion systems, weapons, sensors, artificial intelligence, or the quality of its scientific instruments. Those things matter. The Horizon would not exist without them. But after 6 months aboard this ship, I have reached a different conclusion. A vessel is only as capable as the people who operate it. And a crew is not defined by having the same ideas. It is defined by learning how to work together despite having different ones. The Galactic Union designed the Horizon as a symbol of cooperation. When the ship was commissioned, that idea sounded simple. Representatives from different civilizations would contribute knowledge, experience, and technology. A combined effort from worlds that had spent centuries separated by distance, history, and sometimes mistrust. On paper, it was an excellent concept. In practice, it was complicated. Different civilizations do not simply speak different languages. They think differently. They solve problems differently. They define priorities differently. They even disagree about what constitutes a problem. I remember our first weeks aboard the Horizon. Everyone was highly qualified. Everyone was experienced. Everyone had been selected because they represented the best of their respective fields. And everyone was convinced, at least initially, that their own approach was the most reasonable one. That was not arrogance. Not usually. It was simply the natural consequence of spending a lifetime learning how the universe works from one particular perspective. The challenge was never convincing people that they were wrong. The challenge was showing them that someone else could also be right. 6 months later, the difference is remarkable. The cultures remain different. The perspectives remain different. The disagreements certainly remain. But the purpose has changed. We no longer ask which approach belongs on this ship. We ask, what can this approach teach us? That change may be the most important discovery we have made. And it was not found in an ancient archive. It was found among ourselves. Engineering continues to be the easiest place to observe this. Marcus Donnelly has become, whether he admits it or not, one of the central figures of the Horizon. He would probably object to that statement. Then he would explain that ships do not require figures. They require properly functioning systems. Then he would spend the next hour explaining why the systems only function because someone competent maintains them. And that someone is usually Marcus. His engineering philosophy remains remarkably simple. Every problem has a solution. If the solution does not exist yet, create it. During the first months of the mission, several crew members struggled to understand his methods. Marcus rarely approaches a problem in the traditional order. He does not begin with, "What does the manual say?" He begins with, "What is actually happening?" There is a difference. He trusts experience. He trusts observation. He trusts creativity. And above all, he trusts that a person who understands the principles behind a system can find a way forward even when the original instructions no longer apply. The small toolbox he carries has become almost legendary aboard the Horizon. It is not particularly advanced. It is not a collection of impossible technology. It contains practical instruments, reliable instruments, tools that have repaired ships, stations, and equipment across decades of service. Someone once asked him why he still carried physical tools when the Horizon contained thousands of automated systems. His answer was immediate. Because automated systems are very useful. A pause. But they don't carry tools. Nobody was certain whether that was a joke. With Marcus, it is often difficult to tell. Professor Cale Varys provides the perfect contrast, where Marcus looks at an unknown object and immediately considers its mechanisms. Cale looks at it and considers its meaning. To him, every artifact is part of a story. A device is not simply something that performs a function. It represents a choice made by someone. A civilization decided to build it for a reason, under specific circumstances, with specific values. Without that context, we risk misunderstanding the discovery itself. This difference between Marcus and Cale continues to create some of the most interesting discussions aboard the Horizon. Marcus believes knowledge grows through experimentation. Cale believes knowledge grows through understanding. Both are correct, and both are incomplete. A machine without history is only a mechanism. A history without understanding its technology is only a record. The universe requires both perspectives. Perhaps that is why, despite their frequent disagreements, they have become such effective partners. Their conversations have become a familiar part of daily life aboard the Horizon. During the analysis of a Guardian structure, Cale once spent several hours explaining the possible symbolic meaning of the architecture. Marcus listened patiently. Then he asked, "That is fascinating." Cale looked pleased. "Thank you." A pause. "Does any of it explain why the power system is still running after 40,000 years?" Cale considered the question. "No." Another pause. "But it does explain why we should not damage it while trying to find out." Marcus smiled. That was almost an engineering answer. Cale looked genuinely offended. It was nothing of the sort. Dr. Lyra Sen occupies a different place within the crew. She is not the loudest voice. She does not need to be. When Lyra speaks, people listen. Not because of rank, because everyone knows she has already considered the possibilities before offering an opinion. Her ability to recognize patterns has been essential to our mission. The Guardian Trail itself exists because of patterns. Connections between locations, repeated symbols, scientific relationships, historical references, things that appear unrelated until someone sees the structure connecting them. Lyra is exceptionally good at finding those structures. Her friendship with me has become one of the unexpected privileges of this mission. Command can be a strange position. Everyone expects decisions from you. Confidence, certainty, direction, But leadership does not eliminate doubt. It simply means you must decide what to do with it. Lyra understands that better than almost anyone. She does not tell me what decision to make. She asks questions, sometimes simple questions, sometimes uncomfortable ones, usually the ones I need. So Lyra has a similar ability, but through a completely different perspective, where Lyra searches for patterns in the universe itself. So Lyra searches for patterns in civilizations. She reminds us that every discovery has a cultural dimension. Every message was created by someone. Every archive was preserved for a reason. Every abandoned city once had people who considered it home. Her work prevents us from turning the Guardians into a collection of impressive machines and forgotten mysteries. She reminds us that they were a civilization, not a legend. The Horizon was built from technology, but it functions because of relationships between humans and Illyrians, between scientists and engineers, between historians and explorers, between people who approach the universe from completely different directions. The greatest achievement of this mission may not be finding what the Guardians left behind. It may be proving that different civilizations can search for answers together. 6 months ago, we departed Bastion 9 as representatives of different worlds. Today, when I look around the bridge, I do not see representatives. I see my crew, and that may be the most important discovery of this journey so far. The questions we carry. Captain's Log, Commander Amelia Carter. Mission Day 183, Final Entry. 6 months of exploration. 6 months following a path created by a civilization that disappeared before most species in the Galactic Union had even developed space travel. 6 months of searching through abandoned worlds, silent stations, and forgotten archives. And yet, if someone asked me what we have found, the honest answer would be, not much. At least not in the way most people imagine discovery. We have not found the lost capital of the Guardians. We have not uncovered the final archive containing all their knowledge. We have not discovered a message explaining why they vanished. We have not found a solution to the war. We have not found a weapon. And perhaps that is exactly the point. For centuries, civilizations have searched the stars looking for advantages. New resources, new technologies, new methods of protecting themselves. The frontier taught us why those things matter. The Devourers taught us why survival cannot depend only on strength. The Guardians left us another lesson. Knowledge is not valuable only because of what it allows us to build. Knowledge is valuable because it changes the questions we ask. The first question humanity asked when we reached the stars was simple: how far can we go? Then came another, what else is out there? Those questions led us to new worlds, new civilizations, new friendships, and eventually new dangers. The Devourers changed the question again. For generations, the galaxy asked, how do we survive? Now, after the first victory, perhaps we can finally ask something different. Not because the danger has disappeared. It has not. But because fear is no longer the only force guiding us. Now we can ask, what else is there? The Horizon exists because of that question. Not because we are searching for a miracle. Not because we believe the Guardians left behind a secret that will instantly solve every problem. History has taught us enough to be careful with assumptions. The Guardians were extraordinary, but they were not perfect. They studied the Devourers for thousands of years. They understood things we still cannot comprehend. They created technologies that seem impossible. But they also disappeared. They also faced limits. They also had unanswered questions. Perhaps that is one of the reasons their trail survived. They did not leave us a conclusion. They left us a conversation. During the last 6 months, I have thought often about that. A civilization separated from us by 40,000 years reached into the future. Not with an order, not with a warning, not with a demand, with an invitation. They trusted that someday someone would find their path. Someone would care enough to follow. Someone would be curious. That may be the most remarkable thing about the Guardians. Not what they knew, but the fact that they believed someone else would want to know. Tomorrow, the Horizon will continue toward the next coordinates. Another world, another archive, another piece of a story that began long before any of us existed. Perhaps we will find something important. Perhaps we will find nothing. Both possibilities are part of exploration. A discovery is not valuable because it confirms what we hope to find. Sometimes it is valuable because it forces us to rethink what we believed. The crew has changed during these 6 months. Not dramatically, not through some single defining moment. Real change rarely happens that way. It happens quietly. A human engineer asking an Illyrian historian for advice before opening an ancient device. A scientist from Valerie discussing navigation theory with a Narethi technician. An archivist explaining cultural traditions from a forgotten world during a shared meal. Small moments, almost invisible, but those moments are the reason this mission exists. The Galactic Union was created from the idea that different civilizations could coexist. The Horizon is an experiment in that idea. Not a political experiment, not a military one, a human one. Can beings who see the universe differently still search for answers together? Can curiosity overcome suspicion? Can knowledge become something shared rather than something possessed? I believe the answer is yes. Not because it is easy, because I have seen it happen every day. When I accepted command of the Horizon, I expected responsibility. I expected difficult decisions. I expected uncertainty. What I did not expect was to learn so much from the people I was supposed to lead. Marcus taught me that impossible problems are often just problems waiting for someone willing to approach them differently. Kale taught me that every discovery has a history, and every history deserves respect. Lyra taught me that silence is not the absence of thought. Sometimes it is where the best thoughts begin. Lyra taught me that understanding another civilization requires more than translating their words. It requires listening to what they were trying to say. The Horizon continues forward. Behind us, the war continues. The frontier advances, but the enemy remains. The Devourers remain. The unknown remains. Ahead of us, the Guardian Trail continues. And beyond that, something else waits. Maybe another archive. Maybe another civilization. Maybe another question. We do not know. And that is exactly why we are here. Captain's Log, Commander Amelia Carter. Mission Day 183. 6 months ago, we left Bastion 9 searching for the legacy of the Guardians. Today, we continue searching. Not because we know what we will find, but because we understand something they understood thousands of years ago. The universe is too vast and too fascinating to stop asking questions. End of Episode 1, A Long Journey Begins.